History books are filled with names like Alexander, Cleopatra, and Julius Caesar. But what if I told you that many of the people who truly shaped the ancient world have been erased from the pages of history? Behind every empire, every revolution, and every great leap in human knowledge, there were forgotten figures, visionaries, warriors, scholars, and rulers who changed the course of civilization forever. They might not be household names, but their legacies ripple through time, influencing the world we live in today. Let's dive into the stories of 10 ancient people who changed history forever, but you've never heard of them. Imhotep wasn't just a name whispered in the annals of ancient Egypt. He was a visionary who revolutionized engineering, medicine, and architecture around 2600 BCE as the architect behind the Step Pyramid of Djoser, the first colossal stone building ever constructed. Imhotep pioneered a radical architectural style that would influence Egyptian design for centuries. But his genius didn't stop there. He was also an accomplished physician, writing medical texts that detailed diagnoses and treatments far ahead of their time, and a high priest who bridged the worlds of science and spirituality. So revered was he that centuries later, Egyptians began to worship Imhotep as a god of medicine and wisdom. Despite this, his name remains unfamiliar to most, even though his innovations laid the foundation for both medicine and monumental architecture. Most people recognize Ramses II, but his queen, Nefertari, was no mere consort. She was a diplomat and political strategist who helped secure Egypt's golden age. Fluent in several languages and skilled in negotiation, Nefertari was pivotal in maintaining alliances with neighboring empires through carefully crafted correspondence and diplomacy. Her influence extended beyond politics. Her lavishly decorated tomb in the Valley of the Queens symbolizes her importance in Egyptian society. Scenes depict her journey through the afterlife with grandeur rarely afforded to queens, revealing her powerful status. Nefertari's role challenges the stereotype of passive royal women and highlights her as a key figure in maintaining peace and prosperity during Egypt's peak. Around 2300 BCE, a man named Sargon changed the map of the ancient world forever. Rising from a humble background, legend says he was abandoned as a baby and rescued from a river. Sargon founded the Akkadian Empire, the world's first true empire. His genius was in uniting diverse city-states under a centralized government and establishing a system of administration, trade, and military conquest unprecedented for its time. He created a blueprint for empire building that would influence civilizations from Babylon to Rome. Despite this monumental legacy, Sargon's name remains obscure outside specialist circles, overshadowed by later rulers, even though he laid the groundwork for centralized states that define our political world today. In a world where authorship was often anonymous or male-dominated, Enheduanna, daughter of Sargon of Akkad, made history by becoming the first known person to sign her own writings. Around 2300 BCE, she composed powerful hymns and prayers dedicated to the goddess Inanna, blending religion, politics, and poetry with emotional depth and political savvy. Her works weren't just spiritual, they were tools of statecraft, helping to unify her father's empire through shared culture and religion. Enheduanna's legacy isn't just as a poet, but as a woman whose voice echoes across millennia, breaking barriers for authorship, religion, and female leadership. Luban, who lived around the 5th century BCE, is often celebrated in Chinese culture as the patron saint of builders, craftsmen, and inventors. His credited inventions include the saw, the lock, the grappling hook, and even primitive forms of flying machines. Though many stories about him are part myth, historical evidence suggests Luban's influence on construction techniques and mechanical devices was revolutionary. He pioneered practical engineering ideas that laid the foundation for Chinese technological advancement for centuries, predating many similar inventions in Europe by hundreds of years. Yet Luban's genius remains relatively unknown beyond China, hiding in the shadows of more widely recognized inventors. Aryabhata, born in 476 CE in India, was a mathematician and astronomer whose work was centuries ahead of his time. He calculated the Earth's circumference with remarkable accuracy and proposed that the Earth rotates on its axis, ideas that wouldn't be accepted in Europe until the Renaissance. Aryabhata's work on zero as a number, trigonometry, and the decimal system laid essential foundations for modern mathematics. His astronomical tables predicted eclipses and planetary motions precisely, influencing Islamic and later European scholars. Despite this, Aryabhata remains underappreciated outside of academic circles, even though he reshaped our understanding of the universe. Hypatia's life was a beacon of reason during one of the darkest periods in ancient history. Living in 4th century Alexandria, she was a philosopher, mathematician, and astronomer who taught Neoplatonism and encouraged critical thinking in a city rife with religious conflict. Hypatia developed instruments like the astrolabe and made contributions to algebra and geometry. Her prominence as a female scholar challenged societal norms, and her tragic death at the hands of a Christian mob symbolized the violent end of classical knowledge in the ancient world. Though largely erased from historical records for centuries, Hypatia's legacy endures as a symbol of intellectual courage and resistance. Unlike many rulers of his era who focused on conquest, Gudea, the Sumerian king of Lagash around 2100 BCE, prioritized peace, justice, and cultural development. His reign was marked by extensive temple building and patronage of the arts. Known for his humility, Gudea portrayed himself not as a god or warrior, but as a servant of the gods, emphasizing piety and moral leadership. His statues, remarkable for their lifelike expressions and intricate detail, survive as some of the most evocative images from ancient Mesopotamia. Gudea's approach to kingship, focused on peace and prosperity, offered an alternative model to power in the ancient world. Queen Tiye was more than just the wife of Pharaoh Amenhotep III. She was an influential political advisor and diplomat. Her unprecedented presence in official inscriptions alongside the pharaoh shows she wielded real power, negotiating directly with foreign rulers and shaping foreign policy. Tiye also played a crucial role in guiding her son Akhenaten's controversial religious reforms, which introduced a brief monotheistic worship of Aten. Her strategic mind helped navigate Egypt through turbulent times, but later attempts to erase Akhenaten's legacy also obscured her role. Tiye's story reveals the hidden strength of women in a male-dominated ancient world. At the dawn of the 20th century, Ya Asantewa stood as a towering figure of resistance against British imperialism in what is now Ghana. When the British demanded the sacred golden stool, a symbol of Ashanti sovereignty, Ya Asantewa rallied her people in an unprecedented war known as the War of the Golden Stool. Her leadership was fierce and tactical, inspiring not just her nation, but countless others fighting colonialism, though eventually defeated and exiled. Her spirit of defiance became a rallying cry for African independence movements decades later, yet her name remains largely unknown outside of African history. These weren't just forgotten names, they were pioneers, warriors, and visionaries who pushed humanity forward. Even as history tried to erase them, their legacies still echo through time in ways we're only beginning to understand. Which story surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more incredible journeys into the forgotten chapters of our past.